advancing public policy that supports and promotes patient care, whether it's in the research lab or in the doctor's office. That ideal was the driving force behind congressional leaders Diana DeGette and Fred Upton as they drafted, built support for, and ultimately passed the 21st Century Cures Act. It's also why we recognize their outstanding policy and advocacy collaboration tonight.
A Democrat from Colorado and a Republican from Michigan, Diana DeGette and Fred Upton have their differences, but they both share a passionate commitment to supporting patients and their families. These two legislators teamed up to launch 21st Century Cures, legislation with far-reaching impact on research initiatives like the Cancer Moonshot, the Brain Initiative, and regenerative medicine, as well as patient care enhancements in the use of electronic medical records, real-world evidence, and advancing precision medicine. The legislation was a victory for bipartisanship. It provided much-needed funding for improving and modernizing the clinical research process. It accelerated the translation of discovery and development of safe and effective treatments and cures. The Cures Act provided authority to help the FDA improve the ability to recruit and retain scientific, technical, and professional experts. It supported efforts to streamline the approval processes for drugs and devices and builds on FDA's ongoing work to incorporate the perspective of patients in FDA's decision-making process. Along with the Affordable Care Act, the 21st Century Cures Act is considered the most consequential healthcare legislation in our time.
Ladies and gentlemen, you now know what these two stellar legislators have accomplished, but let me say a word as to how they accomplished this Herculean bipartisan feat. Many of us in this room witnessed for almost 2 years their relentless crusade in the public arena with numerous meetings, conferences, dinners, and engagements with researchers, clinicians, industry leaders, government officials, and most importantly, patient advocacy groups. No legislators were ever more dedicated or worked harder to accomplish a mission. And I am proud and so pleased to present this year's Reagan-Udall Foundation Innovations in Regulatory Science Advocacy Policy Award to congressional leaders Diana DeGette and Congressman Fred Upton.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy. Well, if you would have looked at that video, you would have thought it was all happiness and wonderfulness passing 21st Century Cures. And that's the way Fred and I feel. but we have a little shtick. But before we do the shtick, I want to take a moment of personal privilege. Because, so I frequently tell people, I'm qualified to be the expert on biomedical research in Congress because I took high school biology. And that's really the great thing about being in public service is you can take whatever issue and learn about it. And the way I became involved in this field was in my second term in Congress. My younger daughter, Francesca, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so I got involved with our friend and former colleague, Mike Castle, on embryonic stem cell research. Some of you remember that fight. We've got the scars to show for that, too. But Francesca was 4. And I'm saying this to you because Francesca's with us tonight. And I just want to say thank you. Francesca has her Dexcom pump on, and that's how I got involved in this. And it's because of the advances of biomedical research that she's here today and healthy. I hope you don't mind if I tell people you just turned 30, so there's that. But it's those advances that have helped all of us and all of our families. And that's what made the two of us so excited about doing 21st Century Cures and why we never, ever gave up. So thank you. Thank you for having the trust in us. And thank you for letting us do what we do. I'm going to turn it over to Fred because no, I'm done. I'm done. You go. So wait, I do have one more thing to say.
I know her.
I'm still mad at him for retiring, but I don't know when the filing deadline is in Michigan. I'd really like him to come back so that we can do Cures 2.0. However, I have a wonderful new partner who Fred has agreed to coach, Larry Bouchon from Indiana, who's wonderful if you haven't met him, and we're working on that bill right now. So Andy already has many ideas, and also Francis has some too. So if you have any ideas, let us know because we just have to keep moving this ball forward. Fred?
Well, we do, and it's a delight to be here. Andy, thank you. You know, when I got the call about this night, my first call was to Diana to make sure that she could come.
Because he said he wouldn't.
No. I said we're a pair, and but the other thing I thought was, you know, I worked for President Reagan at the White House, and then I served with him, and I worked with Mo Udall. In fact, I think I got one of the first Mo Udall Parkinson's Awards after he left. He was a dear friend and a great colleague. But as I think about how did we get this done, it was because of all of you in this room. It wasn't us. We listened. I tell you, Andy was great. He would come up, those of you that know the Rayburn building, he would come up to 2333 Rayburn, and he would have the notebook that we gave him of our bill, and he would go page by page. He would take his pen out, you know. He would, I don't know that we had the lobbying restrictions back then, but anyway, he would figure that, and he would help us to get it done. Francis would come, and he would sit with us in my hideaway with Diana and me and our terrific staff on both sides of the aisle. I mean, we really had a wonderful staff, and we talked about what this bill should look like to really make a difference. And Ellen, where did she go? Here she moved. She moved. She was by Jerry before. Now she moved. Ellen was great. We would call Ellen. We said, we need the disease groups to get out there. We got to get these advocates out there. We got to get these co-sponsors, because we knew that we were pressed with a deadline. This was actually a 3-year effort. Henry Waxman was not happy with me because his name wasn't on the bill as Diana's was. And why was that? It was because we knew we couldn't do it in 1 year. It would take 3. And he would be gone. And we needed Diana's work on that side of the aisle to make sure that we got it done. And it was 53-0 when we had that vote. And that vote then pushed us to get it to 392-26 on the House.
By the way, we know all those 26.
We do, yeah. Look at my tweets. You'll see some of them. One wanted to be speaker, and he didn't quite make it to the last month. Good is right. But then we took Francis. Francis was, I took Francis into the Senate gallery, and we watched the vote in the Senate. And we watched the filibuster vote, and it was led by those that were against us, and we beat that thing 75-25 on the filibuster vote, and we ended up passing it 92-8 in the Senate. But we needed it every day, and we talked with Andy at the table here. Our team was in place. We had Paul Ryan. Eric Cantor helped us before he left. We had Nancy. We had Steny. We had Kevin. We had them. But we still had to win. We had to have every single day before that bill was signed. We had Joe Biden. He was terrific to make sure that this thing.
He presided.
Yeah, he presided, and there was a reason we actually suggested that he preside, because some of the detractors would be harder for them to vote no if he was actually in the chair. And it mattered. It did when it got done. But what's amazing today is that literally every day we read about advances to find the cures. And it's because of our bill. The other folks to really thank is our spouses. So Jerry and Madeline and Kathy and Amy and Lino and all the people that put up with us, even on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, it was amazing to get this thing done. But thanks to all of you to help us do what we thought was the right thing.